Welcome to the Vikings Now. I am your host, Patrick Seatman. Going to be giving you guys my reaction following the Vikings losing to the Green Bay Packers with a final score of 41-17. Frankly, this game wasn't close the entire night. I mean, the Vikings just got outplayed all three phases of the game. There was miscues. I mean, getting the ball. I mean, it started off electric. Vikings block a punt. You get the ball on that 1 yard line. You only get 3 points. That hurt. Then you give up a kick return for a touchdown, and the immediate next play, that hurt. Kirk Cousins throws a pick six then. That obviously hurt. There was a ton of miscues. Greg Joseph missing 2 field goals, leading to the Vikings losing 41-17 to the Green Bay Packers. Honestly, I was shocked about this. I'm a very optimistic Vikings fan, and I thought they were going to get it done today. But they didn't. And they lost 41-17 to the Green Bay Packers here. So we get one thing changed. But here's some stats for you guys. Kirk Cousins, he was 18 of 31, 205 yards, 1 touchdown, 3 picks. Honestly, besides that last pick, the first 2 weren't necessarily his fault. The one was deflected at the line of scrimmage, and the other one, it was tipped both of them were tipped at the line of scrimmage, and Jefferson fell down, leading to another interception. Vikings, I swear to God, in these cold weather games in December, I feel like it's every single year, or December, January, they just can't consistently run the football. I mean, they haven't been a good rushing team the entire year, and 9 carries, 27 yards. I mean, it just puts a lot of pressure on Kirk Cousins, and especially with Austin Schlottman going down and Brian O'Neill going down with a calf injury for him, an ankle injury for Austin Schlottman. It's looking like Schlottman will be out for a very long time. Chris Tomlinson said he suffered a fractured fibula against the Green Bay Packers. He'll miss several weeks. Brutal day for Minnesota all around. So Austin Schlottman, he won't be there anymore. So, hey, Garrett Bradbury can't get that back figured out. And it's going to have to be Chris Reed starting at center. And we've already seen the miscues he had today with the false starts and just getting blown up by Kenny Clark multiple times. Bad day. But also, losing Brian O'Neill hurts. I mean, losing Brian O'Neill to a calf injury really hurts. And I'm hoping this is not something that will hold him out for that much longer. I mean, I don't know. I just do feel like with Brian O'Neill, the whole point of the Vikings, the whole kind of point of the Vikings offensive line and the strong suit of this team is those tackles at that position. So, I don't know. Obviously, Kirk Cousins wasn't great today, but he also wasn't awful. He wasn't the main reason the Vikings lost. I do think Kirk, obviously, this is not one of his better games. You can just read the stats. 18 of 31, 205 yards, 1 touchdown there. But just not a good game from Kirk. But I'll make the pin comment on today's video. Grade Kirk's performance in Green Bay. A, B, C, D, or F. Let me know. I mean, I'm probably sitting around a D. I mean, obviously, he wasn't good at all, but I don't think he was the main reason we lost. I just think it was an overall, all 3 phases, just getting their ass kicked all afternoon and into the night. I mean, the Green Bay Packers dominated. And the thing that really sucks about this is the Vikings, they still had a chance at the number 1 seed. Obviously, they don't anymore following this loss. But the Eagles losing today, the Vikings would have handled business against Chicago. And then let's just say the Eagles slipped up against the New York Giants next week. Vikings could have a week off and 2 home playoff games to get to the Super Bowl. So that really sucks. Green Bay Packers side of things, they just need to now beat the Lions. And they're in the playoffs. I mean, that is a very scary team coming in there on a big win streak. They're 4-8, trying to end the year on a 5-game win streak, get the 9-8, and secure that playoff berth. But I'm going to bring in Jack Sperry right now. He was with us watching the game. He's a big-time Vikings fan here at Chat Sports. Sperry, let's give me your rundown overall of kind of what you saw today out of the Vikes. I mean, obviously, you're a big film guy. I mean, obviously, you haven't watched all 22 yet, but what have you really seen today for the Vikings? Like, why was their offense struggling as much as it was?
Well, offense, I mean, they were trying to get the ball to Jefferson, and they were doubling him. It looked like they were bracketing him. I have to look at the film, but, I mean, just offensively, run game wasn't doing much because, I mean, in a zone rushing scheme like the Vikings have, you need that center. That center is a huge piece to keep that line flowing, not get interior pressure on that horizontal stretch play, and it just wasn't working. Reed was awful today. Kirk Cousins got, I mean, multiple interceptions today. It wasn't necessarily his fault, but it was more on the offensive line. Offensive line was bad today. Receivers, I mean, JJ couldn't get going. And then defensively, I mean, you couldn't set the edge. I mean, you got guys like Daniil Hunter, Zadarius Smith. Those two guys are beasts. They should be able to secure the edge for you. They just didn't, especially early on. And then there was also just some bad breaks, like missing 2 field goals, right?
Yes.
You know, the one field goal at the end of the second half where the Packers, like, it hit the crossbar there and then went in. Like, there's just so many things. We've seen so many things go the right way for the Vikings this year. And today, it just didn't work out for them. It just went the other way, and it ended up in a 41-17 embarrassment at Lambeau Field.
Yeah, and I think, I mean, the defense today, I mean, obviously when we were live for this game, I mean, we were saying it wasn't necessarily all the defense's fault. I just think it was like a 3-phase, just getting your ass kicked. Special teams got their ass kicked.
Yes,
Offense, couldn't get anything going. I mean, defense, obviously you weren't the whole reason why the Vikings gave up 41 points, because obviously they had 14 points off a pick 6 and a kick return. Just 3 phases.
Yeah, kick return too. Pick 6. You just can't give up those. Against Aaron Rodgers, against this team, you cannot give up free points. You just can't, and they did early on. It put us behind the 8 ball. Kirk seemed to be pressing a little bit, and it just wasn't a good day.
But that will get you beat in the playoffs. Having those miscues like that will get you blown out in the playoffs. Like, this is a team you could run into in the playoffs. You do this against Dallas, you're going to get blown out. You do this against San Fran, you're going to really get blown out.
The good thing is, though, is that the Vikings have been really good at limiting those kind of big mistakes for most of the games this season. This year, they've been really, really good at situational football, particularly late in games. And, you know, I don't think any team in the NFC wants to play the Vikings in the playoffs because they know the Vikings win close games. You know, you have to beat them by blowout, and that makes the Vikings a very dangerous team when they get into the NFC playoffs. It's not going to be as the number 1 seed, unfortunately, but man, I mean, they are a dangerous team. They still are a dangerous team. This game does not change that. Yeah,
and they're going to, listen, they have confidence in close games. I mean, obviously when the playoffs come around, you're going to be playing a lot more close games. I think the Vikings are coming confident, but today, 41-17, just getting dominated all 3 phases of the game. But our post-game show is sponsored by BetUSA. If you want to bet on the Vikings in the playoffs, go to chatsports.com/bet. If you use our promo code CHAT125, you get a 125% deposit bonus. Maybe asking, what does that mean? If you put $100 into your account, if you use the promo code CHAT125, they'll actually just give you $125 free to play with. You can use whatever you want with it. They give you a free $125 already on top of the $100 you put in the account. You bet on the Minnesota Timberwolves, Minnesota Twins when baseball gets back going, or you can bet on the Wild. You can bet on anything you can. It's great. What was the score? Because we are looking around here in the other games in the NFL. Sperry, we'll bring you back on here because the Niners are in a battle right now with the Raiders, and this has huge playoff implications for the Vikings seeding. Do you have an update?
So they're in overtime right now. Jared Stidham just got intercepted, and now the 49ers are on the Las Vegas 3, and all they need is a field goal to win. Okay. So it's looking like 34-34 right now. It's looking like San Francisco is going to win that one, so that does affect the Vikings' playoff seeding moving forward.
So now this makes it interesting because I'm curious with how the Vikings will handle this next week. Obviously, you're playing the Chicago Bears, and they don't have much to play for. But the Niners are pretty much locked into that 2 seed now, and it's really starting to look like it will end up being Vikings-Giants in that divisional round. Would you be confident?
I would be confident. I mean, kinda.
Yeah, I know.
So here's the thing. The Giants aren't blowing anybody out.
No.
You know, and that's the trend this season has been to beat the Vikings, you have to blow them out. And I don't think the Giants are going to do that. The Vikings are going to be home. You know, obviously the Giants are going to be looking for their revenge, you know, last week at the winter whiteout, but I don't see the Giants coming into US Bank Stadium and beating the Vikings. I just don't. I think the Giants might be the team I want to play because Packers we saw can beat us out or can blow us out. Lions can blow us out. And I just don't see the Giants with Daniel Jones doing that. So I would actually want to play the Giants, to be honest, in my opinion.
Honestly, like, obviously you want that 2 seed, but I mean, kind of like Sperry was saying, I would rather get, instead of going against either Lions or Packers in that 2-7 matchup, I would rather just get the Giants in that 3-6. Obviously, you win that game. Sucks. You're going to probably have to go to San Fran.
Yeah, oh, man. I mean,
we'll see how that goes.
We all remember the last time Kirk Cousins was in a playoff game at San Fran, Levi's Stadium. That
in the divisional round, too.
That was not pretty.
That was
Different
not
coaching
pretty.
staff, different players, but man,
Still, that defense.
deja vu is not nice there.
Yes. But this man, Aaron Rodgers, he didn't really do too much today. I mean, he was pretty good. He was 15 of 24, 159 yards. I mean, this Packers defense, and Sperry was mentioning it earlier during the stream, the kind of catalyst to this win streak has been that Packers secondary. They've been able to turn the ball over a lot. And Aaron Rodgers, he had another rushing touchdown. But it's not like he was more of a game manager today. I mean, he just hit the throws he needed to. It was still Aaron Rodgers. He still had a crazy throw with Daniil Hunter on his back, and he fit it in a very, very tight window. But, I mean, I don't know. Aaron Rodgers, he was good. He's been solid this whole year. And we got a super chat coming in. We'll throw this on our post-game show from my man, the Past Master. He was an MVP from today's Vikings watch party. He said, look at Raiders fans and what they're going through, and they stick with them. I'm sticking with my Vikings no matter what. It ain't over until it's over. And that kind of sums up my thoughts too, Past Master, because, hey, it's not over. You have a big loss like this, but thank God the Vikings are still locked in to the playoffs no matter what. So they will be playing no matter what in the playoffs. I mean, listen, it's NFL playoffs, man. Anything can happen. I mean, we've seen the Giants, when they were a wild card team, they went and beat the undefeated Patriots in the Super Bowl. I mean, this league is full of parity. It's full of anything can happen. And this Vikings team, it's kind of felt like they're having a special year. They have a special bond in the locker room. So we'll see. I mean, it's looking like the Vikings are going to get locked in to the Vikings-Giants wild card weekend, that 3-6 matchup. It would have to take a lot to change, but I think the Giants are locked in to that 6th seed. Giants probably won't play anybody next week. They'll probably take that as kind of a mini bye. So that's why I'm curious to see how the Vikings will handle that situation. 49ers, I am just getting that confirmed. So 49ers did just win. So the 49ers move into the 2 seed. Vikings fall down to the 3 seed. It's bad. But I do want to ask you guys this. Defense obviously didn't play as bad as it did in the past couple of weeks. But what are you, like, how concerned are you for this defense? Just scale it through me 1 through 10. Let me know where you guys are feeling, especially going into the playoffs. Because Sperry and I were talking a little bit. They're going to have to win a shootout. Like, they're going to have to win a shootout in the playoffs. I don't think this team, even if it's Daniel Jones and the Giants, I don't think they can hold them to under 20. I think that game is going to be very similar to the whiteout game if it ends up being that matchup of that 27-24 type of ball game, 31-28. Let me know how concerned you guys are about this Vikings defense heading into the playoffs. Overall today, it was just a bad loss. I mean, it was a bad loss. We bring Sperry back on here, kind of wrap up his final thoughts. Heading into the playoffs, what's one thing that needs to happen for this Vikings team? If they can go on a run, what is one thing that needs to happen?
Kirk Cousins needs to have a Nick Foles type of performance in this year's postseason.
That's a pretty good take.
If they're going to win the Super Bowl, because it's looking like Ed Donatell's not going to switch things up.
No.
And I hate to break it to you Vikings fans, it's just the tell of the tape. We don't have the personnel in the secondary to run this type of defense effectively. We just don't. Just look at the numbers. And if you look at the tape, it'll confirm it. So Kirk Cousins is going to have to be a postseason hero and become an NFL legend, in my opinion, and win shootout after shootout. Now, against the Giants, maybe not a shootout.
Yeah.
You could win by getting like 28, 24 points against the Giants. But, when you play Philly, when you play San Francisco, when you play Dallas, right? If you play these teams, and then in the Super Bowl, a Cincinnati, a Kansas City, he's
going to have to put 30-plus.
He's going to have to put up 30-plus points. Justin Jefferson is going to have to be an absolute beast.
Yep.
Okay, so it's still an uphill battle for the Lombardi Trophy. But, okay, this has been a magical season for the purple and gold.
Yes.
All right, they already have the NFL record for the most one-score victories in NFL history.
Yep.
Okay, and they haven't lost a single game that's been close. So they're situational masters. They're fantastic in the clutch. Mm-hmm. Okay, and at the end of the day, these playoff games, usually, the Vikings have gotten blown out in the playoffs plenty of times. We know this.
Yes.
But in the playoffs, generally, the games are close. And the Vikings, we know the Vikings win these close games. So I don't want to see Tampa because they're the only team I'm scared of that could beat the Vikings in a close game situation.
Yep.
But, with this defense, to answer your question, how concerned I am about the Vikings defense, it's a 10.
It's a 10.
It's a 10. Because right now, Kirk Cousins is going to have to play out of his mind in the postseason to bring the first Lombardi Trophy to the North, okay? And that I don't think it's likely, but then again, the Vikings have shown time and time again, it's not likely. It doesn't matter. They still pull through. So I guess we'll see. I'm excited to see what happens. It's been a great year so far. I can't wait to see how they finish it out.
And I think you mentioned this to me a couple weeks ago. Your dad was saying when the Vikings has expectations.
Yes. What he says, when the Vikings have expectations, they crumble. But when no one believes in them, that's when the success happens. And guess what, guys? Everybody in the National Football League right now thinks that the Vikings are frauds. And you know what that means? The Vikings are going to play great, all right? So if there's anything to take positive out of this is that still, despite a 12-win season, nobody believes in this team. Nobody. So that's a good sign, according to my dad's logic.
Yeah, I mean, the Vikings going to have a negative point differential as a 12-4 ball club. It is looking like it is going to be Vikings-Giants in the wild card weekend. Thank you guys so much for watching today's post-game video and everybody who joined our watch party. If you guys made it throughout the video, you guys should probably consider subscribing. The link is right there, youtube.com/@Vikings today. Closing in on 10,000 subs here at the channel. We picked up already 4,000 subs just in this little magical season the Vikings are having. It would really mean a lot. Thank you guys so much for watching. I mean, tough loss today to the Green Bay Packers. I mean, what are you going to do? You just get beat in all three phases of the game. Kirk struggled in moments. Offensive line with Schlottman, Brian O'Neill going down. Obviously, that hurt them. But the Vikings, they just got their ass handed to them. So, kind of what are you going to do? Losing 41-17 to the dirty Green Bay Packers. I would love to see them again in the playoffs. Jaire Alexander, something I didn't mention already in the postgame video. He was acting like a jackass throughout this entire game. Jefferson actually was able to keep his cool. Obviously, Jefferson only going for one reception for 15 yards. Jaire did a good job of locking him down, but a lot of bracket coverage from the Packers. It is going to be concerning to see if other teams can kind of replicate this Packers defensive game plan for the Vikings and kind of translate it or use it in the playoffs against the Vikes. But we'll see. I mean, I'm still optimistic about this season. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you guys haven't, go down, hit that subscribe button. Really make my day. See you guys next time. Skol Vikes.